Hi, I'm John from BikeCurious, and today I'm going to show you how you can use Discord while you play your Xbox, at least for certain scenarios. So let's dive into it. So let's say you've got an Xbox and you play a game and your friend has a PC and they also play the same game and you want to play together. Your PC friend is well set up to use Discord chat and you on an Xbox are going to have a hard time with that. There are some solutions out there. If you're like me, you've probably tried some of them. You found them to be okay, but not a long-term solution or not that workable. Maybe they just downright didn't work and you're looking for something else. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at a solution and how to set that up. So let's dive in. Okay, so here is a high-level overview of what we're going to be going through today. In this setup and in the setup that I have, which I can show you, I use a kind of PC gamer setup for my Xbox gaming. I have my ultra-wide monitor out on my desk, my laptop is usually right next to it, and then hidden behind my laptop I have my Xbox. So if I want to, I can show either my laptop on the display I usually use for my computer, or I can switch over to using my Xbox on the display. So the tricky thing for me is not really showing the Xbox. The tricky thing is how do I hear the Xbox if I also want to hear my computer? In my setup, what I do is I have my Xbox plugged into an HDMI port on my monitor. Also note that for the same setup, you can use your PlayStation, you can use a Nintendo, you can use any device that has an HDMI output. My monitor doesn't have any built-in speakers, but it does have a built-in 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, the TRS connector. And that is critical in order to use this solution. So if you want to use this solution, you'll need to make sure that your monitor also has a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. Many monitors do. The key to making all of this work is this device here, a USB audio capture device. And I'm going to go into a little more detail about that later, but you'll need to make sure that you can plug that into your monitor. The other side of it plugs into your laptop. In my case, I'm using a Mac, and I'm going to go into more detail how to set this up on a Mac, but also note that this is possible on a PC. Where I mention it, there is a link down in the description where you can check out the relevant tutorials that you can use for setting up your PC. In order to get this to work on my Mac, I'm running two pieces of software. I'm running GarageBand, and I have that configured in a special way so that I can do audio monitoring. And I am also using Discord, or I can also use FaceTime or Google Hangout or any other sort of chat application that I might want to use to talk to people while I'm playing games. And finally, there's my audio output. So if I'm doing some competitive gaming, then I'm definitely going to be using a wired headset. It has the lowest latency, and audio latency is going to be a theme in this tutorial. I want to make sure that what I'm seeing on the screen matches up to what I can hear in the headphones. Wired headset is the best way to do that, but also I have a set of AirPods. I can use those for their convenience. It does introduce a noticeable audio lag between what I can see on my monitor and what I'm actually hearing in my ears, but it is convenient to be wireless while I'm playing. So those are both options for listening. So that is the total solution end to end. What I want to show you a little bit more in detail first is the USB audio capture device, and then we're going to go into GarageBand and show you how to set that up. So I just bought this pretty cheapo audio encoder from Amazon. You can see it's only 17 bucks. I feel like I paid $10 for it. This is actually the kind of thing that you might be able to get a lot cheaper off of AliExpress or from another retailer. The key to this is that number one, it has stereo audio input. You want to make sure that if you're listening to your game that it's not mono. It's a lot easier to get a mono audio capture device than a stereo capture device. So this one is a stereo capture device. It has the headphone connector that you can see here. It also has the red and white RCA connectors, which are irrelevant in our use case, but they might be useful for certain types of monitors or other audio output devices. So that's on one side. On the other side, we have a USB-A connector, and that's just going to plug into the USB port on your computer. I don't think that requires much explaining. What you're going to do is you're going to take the device, you're going to take the 3.5 millimeter headphone plug and plug that into your monitor. You don't need to do anything with the RCA cables, so those are just going to dangle there, and that's no big deal. Then down here on the USB side, you're going to plug that into a USB port on your computer, or in my case, I have a Thunderbolt dock that I plug into. Any USB-A port that you have connected to your computer will work. then this device will show up as an audio option for your computer. Now that I've covered kind of how to plug this in and wire everything together, I'm going to give you a little overview of how to set up GarageBand. I just launched GarageBand. You can see it's going right now. And I'm going to just start with an empty project, and I'm going to click Choose. Now it's going to bring up this menu here that's asking you some questions. What you want to do is click the microphone option here, and then make sure you check this "I want to hear my instrument as I play and record" button. I don't really understand these inputs here because they don't map to any devices that I have, so I'm just going to ignore that. But what I do see here is my instrument is connected with USB microphone. So what you can do is click that little arrow button and make sure that you have the correct audio input device selected. If you have the same one as me, then you'll see USB microphone, although a lot of these devices are made by different manufacturers. They might have different naming schemes, so you might see something other than USB microphone, but it should be something like that. I also have several other microphones connected here, so it is a little bit confusing, but the USB microphone is the one that we're looking for. You can also leave output device as system setting. What that does is whatever the audio output device is by default that you're currently using is what GarageBand is going to output the sound to. So in my case, it's going to come out my laptop speakers at first, but I'm going to also, I might connect my headphones, maybe my AirPods, like I mentioned. I would wirelessly connect them to the computer, and then leaving this on system setting, it'll automatically play audio through my headphones. So we're going to click the Create button right now. And the next thing I want to do is make sure that this volume here is set to plus 0.0 dB. This is just going to make it so that the game audio input is captured at full volume. If it's too low or too high, then you might end up with issues. Now the next thing you want to make sure to do is this button here, which is also down here. You can see monitoring. Make sure that that is in the gold state. You can leave feedback protection enabled. In this case, as long as you haven't accidentally set the wrong audio input device, you shouldn't get any feedback. But who wants a loud, high-pitched noise played in their ears? Nobody does. So this is actually all ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is turn on my Xbox using my Xbox controller. I will put a mic on my speakers so that you all can hear the sound of the Xbox coming out at the same time that you're going to see the volume indicators moving around on screen. All right, so microphone's on. Put that over my computer. The music from Halo is coming out. It sounds great. The thing that I neglected to mention was that you need to make sure to set your monitor's input on the device that you're recording audio from. So in this case, I needed to set my input to HDMI 1 so that it was set to the Xbox. And now the audio is coming out through the headphone port on the monitor, which then gets piped into the audio capture device and ultimately into my speakers. So now you can hear it's working great. One thing to note here is that there's a lot of ways to capture audio, especially even stereo audio from the game. I also have a Camlink 4K capture device, and what I found is that it's very difficult to get low enough latency latency recording for this to actually be a convincing solution. Fortunately, this very inexpensive adapter combined with GarageBand gives a very acceptable result. I should also note though that it is introducing some latency. Anytime you are piping audio into software and then playing it back out, you're going to get some latency. It's inevitable. It has to do with buffers, and I won't go into a lot of detail there, but what I have found is that some software is very good at managing that latency, having a very small buffer. Fortunately, GarageBand, which is free to everybody who uses a Mac, has this low latency audio option. Now, if you're on a PC, there is an instruction, which I've linked below in the description, for how to set up audio monitoring for a device. And this is all built in to Windows, which is pretty nice. It does introduce some latency, but in the videos that I watched on it, it seems acceptable. I haven't tested it myself, but it does seem like a viable solution. It's very simple to set up and it's free. It's part of Windows. So if you're on a Windows computer, this solution will basically work for you. Just follow that link in the description. So now that you have your audio setup working so that you can pipe the audio from the Xbox into your headphones and listen to it, now all you need to do is launch your chat application of choice. In my use case, I'm using Discord, but also this solution will work with iMessage, Google Hangouts, or Skype, or whatever it is that you use to chat with your friends while you play on your Xbox. You could also use video chat, so that's pretty awesome, I think. That's all that I wanted to go over in today's video. Thank you so much for sticking around. Hit that like button down below, please. Hit the subscribe button. Also, if you don't know BikeCurious, I am live on Twitch, twitch.tv/BikeCurious every Sunday at 1 p.m. Pacific. That's 4 p.m. Eastern and 9 p.m. GMT. Come by, hang out with the rest of the Curious crew. I ride my bike around San Francisco. I talk about technology, games. We get to see beautiful sights like the Golden Gate Bridge. I would love to see you there, so come by and hang out. And that is all. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.